outside? You wanna go outside? Hey, it's Megan
and Sue,
the Spine Breakers, and today we are gonna do the crystal tag.
Crystal book tag.
The crystal book.
And this was created by Angelica Kofer, and we were tagged by the lovely Celia. So thank you, Celia, for tagging us. We will put both the original tag and Celia's down below.
Down below.
Go check them out.
Definitely.
So this is based on crystals.
And it's also based on your chakras. So there's a crystal for each chakra.
I've been
reading some things.
I don't know shit about crystals or anything.
I don't believe that they do anything. I think they're really pretty, and I like the idea that they could be magical, and maybe they are, and I just am missing it, but I personally don't think they are. But anyway, there are crystals associated with each of your chakras.
I see.
And if one of your chakras is out of order, then these crystals are supposed to be able to help.
All right. Well, let's learn about our chakras.
We're going to learn about chakras. So while we learn about our chakras, we are going to drink this Guayabera
by Cigar City Brewing, and it's a Citra Pale Ale. I couldn't remember if we just recently had this or not. I think we didn't. I think it was an IPA from them. But if we just had this one, oops. Sometimes there's, we drink a lot of different beers. Sometimes we forget.
We drink a lot of beer, and sometimes we forget.
Probably because of the beer.
Probably because of the beer.
So this tastes like nothing compared to that IPA we just had.
That IPA we just had was strong.
I think that this is good. It's just that we just had an IPA, and so a pale ale in comparison
is not.
Pales in comparison.
Pales.
That IPA went right to my head, apparently. All right, so let's get into the tag.
So the first prompt is obsidian, which corresponds to your root chakra. And it protects against negativity and helps stimulate prophecy.
What is a book you knew you were going to like no matter what others said?
The Stars Are Legion by Cameron Hurley. I already had read The Geek Feminist Revolution, and I liked Cameron Hurley. And then I had seen that she wrote this book, and it's all female characters. So it's a sci-fi book with all female characters. And I was kind of already sold on it before I read it, because I liked her and I liked that premise. So this book is weird as hell, and I think it has a lot of mixed reviews, but I love it.
I don't know if there truly is a book that I would say I just knew I was gonna love, because I don't know.
I try to read pretty open-mindedly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling that I was going to like The Catcher in the Rye before I read it. And I was correct. I did like it, even though, this is a pretty polarizing book. Like, a lot of people really hate it, and a lot of people who, I really respect their opinions, really hate it. A lot of people whose opinions I respect really love it also.
It's very polarizing.
So, but I just had a feeling that I was going to be on the love it side, and I was.
So the next stone is a moonstone, which corresponds to your sacral chakra, which is not...
See, I didn't even know that these were chakras in parentheses. I was like, I don't know what these mean, but okay.
Those are your chakras. So the moonstone balances emotions and promotes a calm mood.
What's a book you can rely on to help soothe you when you feel out of sync?
This is a weird answer, but literally anything by Octavia Butler, even though, sociopolitically it's very unsettling, I feel like Octavia Butler really... understands women and understands culture, and when I read her I'm like, yes, and I feel like
yes.
And so I really feel like she's in tune with my beliefs and my value systems, and but yes, it's like a drink of cold water. It's refreshing.
Okay. And I went a different direction, and I said The Hobbit and or the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Tolkien. I just found that when I reread these, I read The Hobbit for the first time a couple years ago, and then I reread it and the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I hadn't read since I was a child, again last year, and I don't know, it just was comforting to me.
Yeah,
I feel just kind of getting lost in this fantasy world, and the Lord of the Rings was kind of nostalgic for me because I did read it as a child and really loved it then. And The Hobbit is just a really fun
I love The Hobbit.
adventure novel, you know?
I love it.
So it's just a nice, comforting world to kind of
It's warm.
escape in, and you know that everything's gonna turn out okay.
Okay. So the next crystal is citrine, which is the solar plexus chakra, and it encourages action and stimulates creativity and self-expression.
And this is what's a book that inspires you?
I chose Difficult Women by Roxane Gay. There's some really interesting stories about some very different women in this collection. This is a short story collection. I love the way that Roxane Gay writes, and I love all of the different women that she tells stories about in this collection, because I think that they are very diverse. They are very of mixed likability, I think, but they're, you know, they all are, I don't know, like, I think
They're complex.
they are, and like none of them are really devalued. Like, I don't feel like Roxane Gay is like, this woman is better than this woman. Like, I feel like it's just, you know, all of these women are different and varied and complex, and they're all valid, and I really enjoyed it.
So I said Fortune Box by Madeline Swan for this one. I don't have my copy. I thought Megan had it, but maybe she doesn't, so I'm not sure where it is right now. But I'm sure it's around somewhere. But this is maybe a weird one to pick for like inspiring.
Okay.
But I just found it so cool. Like, the stories were so interesting and so well done that it made me want to write something.
I really think you should.
I would like to try, but I feel like I don't have time for hobbies right now because I'm trying to get
your shit
my
together.
shit together.
Yeah.
So, maybe in the near future I will try to write something. But yeah, Fortune Box, I was just like, that was so cool, and it made me want to write something.
That's awesome. I think you could and you should.
And I didn't describe what it was. It's like a collection of like very short stories that are all kind of connected, where people receive a package, and whatever's in that package kind of changes their life, either for the good or the bad. And it's very bizarre. It's bizarro fiction. But I really loved it.
Sorry, he was being really pitiful and I felt bad for him. Next is Rose Quartz, which is your heart chakra, and that releases toxic emotions and attracts love.
So the question is, what's a book that includes a beautiful relationship or your OTP?
We both said the same book.
The Long Way to a Smaller Planet. We chose these separately. Let's see if we said like the same
Thing
about it.
I did not have a specific relationship from this book to choose.
I did.
I felt like the relationships between the entire crew.
That's true.
Were you going to say Kizzy and Jenks?
No.
I think like the relationships between all of the crew members were really beautiful because they're all from different cultures and backgrounds and worlds. And it really was like, this book was very character driven, and it was very much defined by the relationships between the characters more so than the plot.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a really like beautiful thing, and it made this book what I love so much.
See, in my head, I had Rosemary and Sussex in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because they kind of form this relationship where they give each other what they need.
Yeah.
Like, even though they might not understand each other's cultures, they understand like,
The needs
this is
of the
what
other
you
person.
need from me, and I want to be the person to give that to you.
Yeah.
And so I really liked their relationship, but like you said, I think all the relationships in the book were really, really great, and was really what made the book.
So lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next stone is aquamarine, which is your throat chakra, and it encourages one to speak their truth.
So what book has a message you strongly resonate with?
I chose two for this. The first is Red Clocks by Lenny Zumas, and this is
Gosh, they're making out over there.
they're so freaking cute. They groom each other all the time, and it's so cute. Mostly Octavia grooms Kira, and it's adorable because look at Kira, she's loving it. So Red Clocks, this is a dystopian future where abortion, in vitro fertilization, all those things are illegal. And it's about 5 different women who want 5 like very different things out of life and struggle to get them in that current like existing world. And it's about how all of them play a role in each other's fate. And so the message that I resonate with is that each of these women wants a different thing, and none of those things are wrong. So I think that like that's a big thing. And then also they all play a role in each other's story. And I really believe that we all play a role in each other's story, like especially women. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like this book was pretty powerful in a very weird way. But then I also said like Parable of the Sower / Parable of the Talents. And this is about a girl who her family's very fundamentalist Baptist, and she strikes out against that and kind of rebels against it and speaks her own truth and comes up with her own religion. So that like act of rebellion I really resonate with, because I'm very like, I don't like authority and I don't like, so like I really resonate with that and like being able to speak your truth and go against the grain. But also I love that she kind of created her own concept of God, because I think that like, I don't really believe in a all-powerful omnipotent being, but I've created my own idea of what a higher power is. And to me, it's like the interconnectedness of all humanity. Like I really believe we're all in this together, and that's my higher power. And so I really resonated with kind of creating your own truth as far as your spirituality is concerned. And so I really dug that.
I realized I'm kind of a nihilist. The other day at book club, I was like, every other species on the planet would be better off if humans didn't exist.
I mean, you're not wrong. That is accurate.
Someone was like, what about dogs? I was like, do you really think pugs should exist? Look what we've done to them.
Look at what we've done
They're
to them.
abominations.
They have so many
can't even
health
breathe
problems.
on their own.
No, because we fucked them up.
If humans didn't exist, dogs would still be wolves and they'd be fine.
They'd be completely fine. Totally fine.
Anyway. So my pick for this was Not That Bad, Dispatches from Rape Culture by Roxane Gay, which is a collection of essays by various authors about their experiences with rape culture. And this really resonated with me because, one, I mean, I think anyone could relate to that. Even men could probably relate to a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those books that is probably most important for, maybe not most important, but I feel like important. Men should read it.
Yeah, they should.
But the thing about it that really resonated with me was this idea of like, not that bad, of like,
right.
Because I think I and most people kind of
minimize
your experiences, and not just in regards to rape culture in everything. Because I've always been kind of like, well, I wasn't raped or abused or
wasn't beaten,
this or that, and
yeah.
So I should be fine. I should just get over it and be fine.
Right.
And I think a lot of people do that and kind of discount their own experiences. And so that's kind of something that I've been working on and learning this year, is that just because you didn't have it as bad as someone else, or you don't feel like your experience was as bad as someone else, doesn't mean that it didn't affect you and that it didn't, it wasn't, potentially traumatic, or that it just wasn't something that was at least important.
Pain is pain. Like, we don't have to argue over the degree to which it hurt. Like, pain is pain.
Yeah, and one of the quotes
violation's violation.
Yeah, and one of the quotes that really stuck with me in one of the essays, I can't remember which one, unfortunately, also I'm paraphrasing this quote, but it was something like, the person who was raped at knife point thinks that they didn't have it as bad as the person who was raped at gunpoint. Like, there's always someone who you think had it worse than you, and that you need to thank your lucky stars that you didn't experience something worse. But it's like,
your pain and your experiences are valid.
Yeah.
They still hurt. So the next stone is amethyst, which is your third eye chakra, and that strengthens the imagination and intuition.
What's a book that took you to a whole other world or way of thinking?
I went 2 different directions with this. The first direction was Smoke Is in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doty, because I had never really considered death culture before, and like what happens to your physical being when you die. And this really opened my eyes to kind of the greed of the funeral industry, and how shitty that is and how like unnecessary it is. And then also in the complete other direction, I went with Day of the Oprechnik, which is by Vladimir Sorokin, translated by Jamie Gambrell. What the fuck was that book? It was like a Russian dystopian novel, and like, what in the actual fuck was it? It was a very different world for me, and I still don't know what I think of it.
Right. So I said Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell for this one because I just got lost in this crazy timeline, this crazy world that he created. I mean, part of it's set in our, in our past and present world, but part of it's set in the future in sort of a dystopian setting, and just all the interconnectedness and little things that you notice that tie back to each other. Just was like, I was reading it and just picture that meme of the woman with the equations going across her head. That was me reading this.
That's
so
awesome.
I just kind of got lost in trying to figure out every little thing, and yeah.
I love it. So the next stone is clear quartz, which is the crown chakra and the master of healing crystals. This stone magnifies the properties of other crystals.
What is a book you think would empower others?
Again, I have two choices for this one.
Megan really went hard on this tag.
Well, I just felt like I was like picking a lot of the same kind of a thing, so I was trying to like branch out, but also I wanted to mention the things I wanted to mention. So I said The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, because I think we always think that it's not that bad or it can't get that bad, and I think it totally can.
Yeah.
Which maybe I'm a pessimist, but I think that there's a lot of subtle rebellion in this book, and there's a lot of fighting back when it would be advantageous not to, and I think that that is very empowering. But then I also chose The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is a beautiful book, and I think that it really shows people who are used to not having a voice finding their voice. And it ends on a very hopeful note, even though there's like a lot of tragedy and kind of heartbreak that happens in the book. It still ends on a hopeful note, and I like that.
Okay, my battery's about to die. So I chose Chemistry by Wei-Ka Wong because I think that this book kind of showed me that you should follow whatever path you feel is right for you, even if it feels like you're failing by doing so. And so that was, I don't even remember what the question was, inspiring?
Inspiring to others.
That was kind of inspiring to be like, do what makes you happy and not what makes you like the most successful in other people's eyes. So there's that. And for the sake of time, because my battery's dying, I'll just put the people we tag in the description.
Yes, we will. And this beer is good. We like it. And
Thanks for
watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.